Welcome. I'm Catherine Magana here with Steve Wolf, Greg Carroll, and Rachel Ivanovich. We're here with you for our weekly discussion. Today we're going to talk very briefly about the markets, but we really want to focus on AI. We recently had a client appreciation brunch this last weekend. Steve did an amazing presentation, and we thought we'd have a little discussion today with you. So before we dive into that, we wanted to kind of give you a quick update of what's going on in the markets. Basically, the Dow Jones and the S&P, the markets are still up. I mean, it's been a little choppy these last couple weeks. Looks like the personal consumption numbers came out and they were slightly up over last year, but kind of in line with expectations. Still looks like the Fed is going to look at rates again, potentially in June and July. Obviously, they look at it in March, but they don't expect any changes potentially. So nothing new, but just kind of, we've had a lot of earnings that came out over the last few weeks, and it looks like the market is starting to stabilize a little bit for this year.
Yeah, the earnings look pretty good. The inflation numbers, though, are a little bit high, so it doesn't look like rates are coming down, at least not immediately. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here.
Yeah, I would agree with the inflation numbers. That's to be seen as more data comes out over the next few months. So maybe the second half will be interesting because anything the Fed does at that point will be construed as, maybe being political in nature.
I also think it's funny how when anybody from the Fed makes a comment, how every word is parsed to say, well, what did they really mean?
Yeah. What does it mean?
Yeah. So
and the market reacts to that too.
It does. What's the definition of is?
Yes.
We've heard that before.
Well, in the tax world, if you live in San Diego County, you have until June 17th to file and pay your taxes. That's the most exciting thing that I heard all week.
It is. It's too bad we can't, put that off for about 3 or 4 years.
Indeed, yes. So the tax relief does actually impact your payroll taxes, quarterly payroll taxes as well for the first and second quarter. This tax relief applies for individuals, for businesses to file and pay taxes that were due in the beginning of 2024. And you can still make your IRA contributions and HSA contributions until June 17th of 24.
Wow.
So
if you're in California.
If you're in San Diego. There are
go.
actually there are 5 or 6 other states that this relief also impacts, so we can talk about that.
But for the most part, it doesn't impact anyone else.
San Diego County, until they announce other counties are also included in the tax relief.
I knew there had to be some advantage to tax-wise living in San Diego.
Exactly.
Just have to have a flood in a certain neighborhood and everybody gets a break.
Well, we promised that we would start talking about artificial intelligence this week. We kind of teased about it last week. And we just did a client event here, and it was all about AI. And, of course, it's interesting because the more you research it, the more you realize how much you don't know. But basically, the basics of AI, and the reason this is so hot right now, this is the hottest topic in investing at the moment. And it's basically getting machines to think like humans. And that's the objective. Artificial intelligence has really been around for a long time, but we didn't have the tools to make it as advanced as it is today.
And as you look at kind of our industry, the financial world, there are some technology and software that we look at when we do planning or investing. But the reality is, you have to also understand how does that work, or are there updates to it? It's not just plugging in numbers. Sometimes you have to look at, are there some adjustments, or or when you have kind of a plan in place, how are you using that information? Because we also know with investing in the investing world, things change all the time. So if we're being a little more proactive and tactical in our approach, that human element comes into play. And so it's I think it's a combination. Yes, I think technology and AI things are helpful, but also I think that human element, especially with us dealing with clients. I mean, I know that we're on the phones all the time, especially when the markets are down. When the markets are up, people are happy, but when the markets are down, clients get really nervous and that behavioral side kicks in. I definitely think that human aspect comes into play.
Could you imagine one of those chat things you see on websites, the chat boxes that, a client's upset about the market, I'm losing all this money and you got to talk to a chat bot. I mean, that just, you need humans to.
You absolutely do
this.
need humans, but what I've been reading is with AI, it's not going to replace humans. It's not going to replace the highly trained lawyers and financial professionals, but a financial professional that's not using AI will be replaced in the future. You absolutely, I think, need to embrace it. I'm excited about it, but it is about data. It's all about the data because garbage in is garbage out. So definitely want to make
and,
sure.
And that's the thing. So why, what's going on in the stock market as it relates to it? I mean, everyone now has heard of NVIDIA. I mean, why NVIDIA? It's because they make something called a GPU, a graphic processing unit, that is way more advanced than any of the ones that we've had before. So just give you a real quick tutorial here. A computer has a CPU, a central processing unit, that basically runs a computer. Okay, and then you have a GPU, which is used for its graphics. So to put it really simply, if you didn't have a CPU, your computer would not work. Okay, if you had a CPU but you didn't have the graphics part of it, you wouldn't be able to see anything on your screen. All right, so that's the basics of it. But NVIDIA came out with, because of gaming, really. It started with video gamers, and they needed better graphics in order to make these games look more realistic and play better and everything else. And it just so happened that NVIDIA was the company that people went to for the GPUs. All right, so that's kind of where, and now they found out that those GPUs are great for AI because it does machine learning. And cryptocurrency was another reason why GPUs really got popular, because of all the power that it needs and all the computational needs that these chips had to have. NVIDIA already had it. So they have a big head start. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be other companies that have these things. They are. AMD is coming out with a chip. All the big companies are trying to do their own chips. So there's going to be a lot of competition. So this is not meant to be, got to go out and buy NVIDIA, and we're not even saying that at all. But that's kind of where this started. So, and ChatGPT came out, and I just read something this morning. There's already 180 million users of ChatGPT. 180 million. In how long of a period of time? I don't know, 3-4 months? Something like that.
Sometime last year, yeah.
This is incredible.
So this morning, we heard in a mastermind group that Rachel and I are in, we heard from one of the members that she was sharing in LinkedIn that in your profile, you can actually create a resume. There's a button you click and it pulls the information from LinkedIn and creates a resume for you. And then you can send that over for AI and have them kind of tweak a little bit. And then all of a sudden you have this full-blown resume redone for you with all these little, technology, and where this could have taken hours in consulting, and here you have some resources.
A couple of clicks and you're done.
So I think it's just fascinating that what's at our fingertips with technology, but then you have the other side of it.
Well, I was going to say the kids know that too. So they're a lot of them are using this to write their essays and their assignments and all that.
Yeah.
Like it's too perfect. Like, wait a minute, how did your writing change overnight?
Yeah,
Don't they run it through Turnitin or something so you can see?
And they try to get the ChatGPT tool to be more like a person. They still haven't gotten that yet. Yeah. And there may be.
There's humor.
Yeah.
Well, there's some companies that are coming out with some chips that do inference. And that is the newest thing. So not only will you be able to think like a human, you may be able to infer like a human. And that's when this will get to be more real.
I see this as AI really beneficial for the tax profession, because we spend a lot of time traditionally doing data entry and invoice processing, and there's so many aspects of AI that will free the profession up to spend more time doing strategic planning, doing analysis for clients, and really adding that value. So I'm really excited for it.
Well, we've used in the financial area, we've really used the algorithms, and that's really what you need. You need this blueprint, pretty much is what an algorithm is for the computer. But we've had that for a long time. The hedge funds have used algorithms for a long time. And I know there are times when we see the markets going up like crazy in 5 minutes or down like crazy in 5 minutes. That's being done by an algorithm. That's being done by a machine. It's not a human.
Right. So I was reading about, as we're looking at AI and how it applies to the financial industry and what we do. So they're saying that you can automate client services, which I think, obviously you can have those, replies or responses or when you call in. But I kind of think, at least from my experience with our clients is, I think they like to actually talk to some people. We did a survey a couple years ago, and on the survey, one of the top reasons our clients said they enjoyed working with us is because of the client service. So we, obviously that's really, really important to us. But if you call here, or most of the time somebody's here, or you get a live person, yes, I think you can automate things, but the reality is sometimes I think we still want that human interaction.
It's funny because, our clientele are probably older
Yep.
like us, and we like
Speak
to
for
talk.
yourself.
I'm just
It's
kidding.
all relative. But I like to talk to people. I do not, when I call a business
Yeah.
to get, that I'm doing business with, I like to talk to someone. I don't like the chat thing. I don't like the phone tree, but I think the newer generation, they don't
Well,
necessarily
on
know
top of
how to talk to people on the phone. They really don't. I mean, I look at my kids and, they text, they Instagram, they do all this stuff. I'm like, why don't you just call them? And I've never heard my kids talk on the phone.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We might need to do that. Get some sort of
In between, like
phone thing
options.
for
You have
the
an
younger
option.
clients, right? Yeah.
It's funny. There was some video that came out where they had kids who were maybe third or fourth grade, and they showed them a typewriter, and they said, "Okay, use the typewriter." They could not figure out how to use a typewriter.
Have you
Was
seen
it
the one with the
electronic?
rotary phone?
Yes, and the one with the rotary phone is even
hilarious.
It is.
That's
they're
funny.
pushing the numbers instead of rotating
Spinning
the
it.
dial,
Yeah.
and they have no idea how to work it. So this could be age related.
Yeah.
I know that when we go to out to eat, sometimes we'll see younger people, and they're all sitting there looking at their phones and doing whatever they're doing on their phones, texting or who knows,
Talking to each other just
There
with
you
the
go.
phone.
with their phones.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I've been guilty of texting within the house, but I could have just gone and talked to my kids.
But I think that for the most part, if you're over 50, 55 years old, you're probably not doing that.
Right.
So it could be a generational thing.
I think it's a big generational thing, and I'm actually kind of serious when I think about the younger clients that we'd be bringing in is they want to communicate differently than what we're used to. So
But I'm also finding they really do want the human interaction as well. I think what, at least from my perspective with my business, is they want digital options to upload documents. They don't like paper.
Right.
They want to have digital files. They want secure portals. They want digital capabilities of communication, but they also want that human interaction as well. Not necessarily an in-person meeting, but they definitely want to know that there's a human being on the other side of the transaction that they can not necessarily call, and not even email, but text or somehow message, some sort of message.
Well, I think the great thing about AI, and there's both good and bad, is that you can use it as an assistant. You can use AI as an assistant to the human.
Yes.
Okay, and I think that's really where it's going. I mean, we talk a little bit about what's going on in the medical field. I had back surgery about a year and a half ago to fuse some vertebrae, and the doctor had a robot arm assisting because it's so precise. And, everyone told me, oh, don't get that surgery. You're going to be crippled for the rest of your life. And it was great. I mean, I was having trouble walking before, and now I'm playing golf better than I've played in a long, long time. So much to Greg's chagrin because I'm taking his money. But so I think where the real advantages right now is that we're working alongside of the robots, and we're doing some things that, like physically and mentally, that we didn't have to do before.
I really just think it frees us up from those mundane tasks that the computer...
Repetitive tasks.
Absolutely, and I can use my time to provide more value for clients.
Right. I think you're right. There's a lot more to go into AI. The next couple of weeks, we're also going to expound a little bit more on artificial intelligence. I think that's about where we're going to end artificial intelligence conversation for right now. Anybody have anything else going on this week?
Just thinking about taxes.
And
What's new?
retirement. We have
And
a
retirement,
workshop tonight,
that's right.
Retirement by Design.
Yes.
So we're doing some live events
A
right
lot of
now.
boomers are retiring, 10,000 a day apparently.
Are retiring?
Yes.
Wow.
So we are focusing in on retirement planning.
And I'm still working.
I love it. I'm
Maybe
learning.
you
That's
should
your
go
retirement.
to the event.
All right. Well, that's about it for this week, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Please stay tuned for important regulatory disclosures. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. please seek advice from a licensed professional. Wolf Weezy Magana, LLC, doing business as WWM Financial, Savvy Doc Financial Planners, and Savvy Woman Wealth Management, is a registered investment advisor with the SEC.